Alright, welcome back to Zawa. Today, I thought I'd take you guys along and show you how I use these little peat moss pucks. Now this is a Jeffy's little starter pucks. These are the ones that I normally use for doing my herbs, because I sell a lot of herbs, potted herbs, like little seedlings of herbs. So this thing I have to kind of put quite a bit of water in here, let it sit. The pucks will explode, and well, they won't explode, but they'll expand. And once they're expanded to the full height, and then I can go along and put my herb seeds in each one. Put the lid on this thing, bring it back into my house. Like I said, it's too cold out here in the nighttime. It doesn't go down to freezing in my greenhouse, because I do have a fire in still down here. But it still can get pretty cold, like 2 or 3 degrees at night. So any warm plants, they won't do well, especially if you're trying to germinate anything. So yeah, let me get some water and I'll just show you quickly how I do that. Now, this is one that I've been doing for years, I should say. Most people don't know this, but snow water is really good for your plants. Snow. Mainly because it has nitrogen in it. Snow is actually very full of nitrogen. When I was growing up, all the old folks always called snow poor man's fertilizer. And it's true. You get good nitrogen, like when it melts and goes down through the soil. But what I've been doing all winter, because I don't have water that will run in my greenhouse all year round, so I just shovel the snow that falls into my 45-gallon drums and let it melt. And that's how I get my water. So all my water is from the snow that I've collected over the winter. Now this Jeffy pot, these, I probably bought this, oh God, I'd say at least 6 or 7 years ago, and never used it. Now I used to use them all the time. I have a bunch of them up here that I've used, and they're broken, and the trays and that are pretty bad now. But this has been a new one that I've had kicking around for a while. Because what I've been doing for the last few years is I've just been using these pots to do my starters. Oh, now it won't even come apart. But yeah, one of these little pots. These are the ones that I use to do my starters mostly. Now the reason I'm using this one this year for my herbs is because I do a lot of plants of herbs. This year my plan is to take one of the buildings, one of my tarp buildings that I had down the back that Fiona destroyed, and I'm going to put the frame and stuff back together, and I'm going to turn it into a greenhouse, mostly for herbs, and maybe grow some peppers and tomatoes in there as well. I'll probably grow some tomatoes and peppers in buckets inside that greenhouse. I think I'm just going to use it as a greenhouse and not a high tunnel. I won't be planting anything in the ground because I won't be using it in the winter time. It's just going to be like a summer greenhouse. Yeah, so I'm going to take you guys along once I start getting this ready to build it and put it together. I'm going to show you guys how I do it and why I do it the way I do it, and why I can do it for like really, really cheap. Because if you go talk to most anybody about greenhouses, they all say you got to go and you got to buy the greenhouse poly, the white poly for greenhouse because of UV, blah, 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 blah. You know what? That's a lie. You don't have to do that. They say, well, yeah, but if you use regular poly, it's just all going to turn yellow and it'll be no good. It'll be gone in a year. No, that's not true either. Regular poly on my greenhouse lasted 10 years. Probably would have lasted longer, but because I had a tree fall on my greenhouse this year, I had to put new poly on. You know what? I have a fairly big greenhouse. It's not huge. It's 28 by 16. I think it's 28. I think it's 28 inside and 30 outside. And you know how much it cost me for poly to do my greenhouse? $40. $40. if I tried to do it with the greenhouse tarp, it would cost me closer to $800. So even if I had to replace my poly every 5 years, I would never spend $800 to replace my poly, no matter how long I had the greenhouse. If I had it for 50 years, I'd be still way ahead of the game. Because the greenhouse poly, the so-called greenhouse poly, that stuff is only good for, I think they said, for 5 years. Then you have to replace it. Something sounds a little fishy here. Sounds like the corporations are getting into people's heads and telling them they need to do stuff which they don't need to do anymore. But, hey, all power to you. If you want to use the greenhouse poly, go ahead. I would never use it because it's just a waste of money. Now, because my Jeffy pucks have been sitting around for a while, I think they've really dried out and got hard. So I'm probably going to have to leave them soaking in water for a day or two just to get them to kind of fluff up. Are made out of peat moss. So when you put, like, these are all compacted really tight together, and once they absorb the water, they'll expand, I'd say, about 5 times of what they are right now. They will just, like, expand up, because that's why they put the little mesh around them. The mesh that goes around them stops them from expanding outwards, but it's kind of set up so that the mesh can go upwards. So they expand this way. So yeah, I'll take you guys back and show you once they're done. I took these little peat moss pucks almost 3 hours to rise, to absorb the water and expand. I guess it's because they've been sitting in my greenhouse for, like I said, years and years. So yeah, that's pretty much what they are. I mean, they're great for beginners. They're like little peat moss pucks. They absorb the water, hold it. This is the lid that goes on. What it does is it actually causes, you keep it in a warm place and it keeps the moisture inside, and it helps the seeds germinate quicker. So that's why I like them, but I really only use them to do my herbs. I don't really use them for much of anything else. This is just, you know, all types of different herbs and stuff, because we really like growing herbs. They're one of our favorite things to grow. Some of them are for medical purposes, or, you know, just healthy things. One of my favorite ones is the one that I use for tea, and it's lemon balm. Lemon balm is definitely one of my favorites. Now, what I'm putting in here right now is cilantro. There's a little hole in these pucks at the top to put your seed. What you do is just sit it on there. Let me get us a few more of these seeds done, and then I'll show you how I actually managed to get them filled. Now, these are good for germinating the seeds and maybe leaving them in there for a week after they germinated or so. Then after that, you will definitely need to put them in other pots. Or you can just plant them right in the ground if you're in a warmer climate. So this one was cilantro on the end. Now I've got to see if I can find my little, there it is. This is the one I use. You can use just about anything. But I just like this one because it has that little point on one side. Like, it's a fork. I don't need both. I just need the one. I'm going to see if you guys can see this or not. I'm not sure if you can from there. But you can see where all the seeds are right in the center of the puck. What I normally do is just push them down a little in the center and just cover them. That's pretty much all you need to do with these guys. And the thing I like about these little pucks is you don't have to water them quite so much. They retain their moisture for quite a long time. So yeah, this was just a little short video showing you of a couple different ways that I do some of my seedlings and my seeds. I'm going to probably do 5 sets of these this year with different herbs that I like. I still have to get some seeds left. One of my favorites, like I said, was I like sweet basil, and I like I think they call it opa. It's a red purple basil, which is my favorite. It's stronger than the sweet basil, which I don't know if I have any right now. I think I used all the seeds up last year. Oh no, here it is, a little bit. This is it here. That's one of my favorite basils. I like that a lot. We use that in all of our stir fries, and the reason I really like it because it really retains its flavor, its aroma, even after it's dried. We dry it, bottle it, and we use it all winter long. So I still have 5 or 6 bottles left. All of my herbs I do dry and bottle. This is my bee balm. Bee balm. It's not bad. I like it to a certain degree. It's not fantastic, but it is good for certain things. Now this is my favorite, lemon balm. That's my favorite of growing all of these things. Now a lot of these we just use for when we're cooking, like cilantro, you know, stevia, because I don't really eat sugar much, but if I grow my own stevia, then I don't mind using that in certain things. I don't use a lot of it because, like, it does trick your body into thinking that you're taking in sugar, and it will increase your insulin. So I don't use too much of that stuff. So yeah, this is pretty much how you do this. This is a pretty simple and easy way for a beginner. That way you don't have to go out and invest in pots, you know, and potting soil. And so, like, if you look up your time zone, you'll figure out when your last frost date is and when it's warm, and then what you want to do is actually, whatever you're planting, plant it like 2 or 3 weeks before into these guys. That way they give some time to germinate, grow a little bit, and by the time you're ready to plant them, they'll be perfect, and you can just plant them right in the ground outside in your gardens. So that's one good thing with these guys. Like, if you're a beginner, I think these are great for beginners. You know, just so that you learn. Everybody's got to learn somewhere. And I love this way of life. This is something I do this time of year every year. I've been doing it for years and years and years. Each year I get a little bit better at it. I learn a lot over the years. From doing, I think, is probably the best way to learn. Now, don't get me wrong, you should always try to learn from people, but then you try what they teach you and you work on it from there. And you just get better and better and better and better. Every year your crops get bigger and bigger. And if you're like me, my gardens get bigger and bigger and bigger every year. Because now I don't just grow food for me anymore. I grow it for most of my animals too. So yeah, so if you got anything out of the video, maybe consider subscribing. Hit that like button and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And thanks for watching.